Yo, 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 what up? What up? What up? What up, everybody? What's going on? What's happening out there? Welcome back to the I Be Trippin' with the Lord podcast. I am your friend, your sister, your host, your homegirl from around the way. My name is Sherelle, and I want to welcome y'all to episode number 44 of the podcast. What's going on out there, fam? How y'all feeling? How you doing? What's going on with your life? What's going on with you? Are you okay? I hope so. And I want to thank y'all so much again for tuning in to another episode. Again, this is episode number 44. And yeah, what's up, y'all? How y'all been doing out there? So listen, we're gonna have an awesome episode on today. Today is all about y'all. Me and my husband celebrated 10 years of marriage. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Shout out to 10 years of being one with my husband, my boo. 10 years of being together. It has been a long, adventurous, crazy, wild, up and down roller coaster ride with him, but I am excited that we have made it. We had a great a great weekend, a lovely weekend together. We had a lot of things that came up this past probably the past 2 months, 2 months. We've been going through a lot, and I'm gonna talk about it today. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about some things that I've learned, and yes, y'all. So again, I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you are watching on YouTube right now, make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you share with anyone that you think would enjoy this space, will enjoy our time together. Also, if you are listening to the audio, maybe you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you're streaming the audio episode. Shout out to you. Make sure you rate the podcast, rate the episode, and leave a comment. Of course, y'all can always hit me up directly and email me for anything. So you can email me at support@pinkiesgembox.com for all inquiries. If you have questions, suggestions, you would like to work with me, anything like that, just hit me up at support@pinkiesgembox.com. So yes, y'all, yes. So if you're watching YouTube, listen, it rained today, y'all. I was all, I had my hair down, my silk press blowout thing is on its last leg, so I wore it down for one more weekend. And when I say I went to the store and it rained on me, it rained. And so now my hair is like puffy, so I had to throw on a hat for the episode. So that is why I'm looking like this and I'm just so irritated. Oh my god. So yeah, y'all, I had to throw on a hat. Um Hair then got rained on, but that's the beauty. That's the beauty and the curse of being natural. You know, the water touched the hair, and it's a fun thing. It's so relaxing when you're natural and you don't have to worry about your hair being rained on. But when you try to wear it straight and that weather ain't right, took this straight on out the game. So that's why I got this hat on. I had a skull cap, but they didn't lost my skull cap, which I was mad about. So it's messing up my whole outfit. But it's all good. I'ma just roll with what I got right now. I'm gonna roll with this. I might end up just pulling my hair out and putting it up because it's not doing what I needed to do. But anyway, so yeah, y'all, yeah. So we celebrated our 10-year anniversary on October 20th. And when I say it has been a long, long um journey to get there. And it felt like a birthday. It felt like how people like go through these crises when they turn 50 or 60 or something, even 40. I think people go through something when they turn 40. Um, I felt like we went through something turning 10 as a marriage. We went through something and it was like it was a lot. So um it started it started to hit me when we went to Atlanta for a Woman Thou Art Loosed. We went to Atlanta and the conference was everything I needed. That was like, I mean, just take me back. Like, take me back. That was like one of the best times I've ever had. And, the conference was great. But while I was having the best experience at the concert, the me and my husband had like a weird time, and we were not vibing. We were not connecting. We were not I was glad that he bought me the ticket, that he took us down there. We drove or whatever. So we got to spend time together, but we were not connected as I thought we were going to be. And I had to call him out on it. And we had a slight, a heated discussion in Atlanta, one of the nights, and it was interesting, that it was like that. That we were kind of like, we wasn't in a good space when we left. Like, I was good because I had got filled. I had spent good quality time in the presence of the Lord. I felt like the Lord was really releasing a word over me and like speaking into my life. But felt like I felt like my husband, me and my husband wasn't connecting, right? So we had a heated discussion while we was in Atlanta. And then when we got home, we had more discussions. And so the past month, I would say the past month, maybe a little more, we have been having some heavy, real deep conversation, and it's been like very reflective of us. We have been trying to like really, you know we've been trying to like really, take a hard look at each other and look at our marriage and decide, like, are we on the right path? Are we on the right track? What this anniversary did is it made it 10 years is like a lot. And 10 years is monumental. You know what I'm saying? Like a whole decade. And it made me definitely like just go into deep reflection about, all right, where are we? Is this on the path that it should be on? You know what I'm saying? Are we doing as well as we should be? And it just started, you know what I'm saying? And so when we had that heated discussion in Atlanta, I was like, wait a minute, are we really where we say we are? Like, are we really, we not connecting? Like, it was real dry. Like, I was, I was glad to be with him, like, but it was like when we was alone, well, it was like we was having a decent time, but when we were alone, when it was time for us to have our alone time, it was like super dry. Like, it was super, lazy. It was super not, we wasn't, um I felt like it was just a distance, you know what I'm saying, where we should have been up under each other. There was a lack of, intimacy, where we should have been like at the, what I'm saying, we had the opportunity, like the kids weren't there, like we had the opportunity to like get real intimate, and not just sexually. I mean, like actual one-on-one connection, one-on-one bonding. And I felt like I was looking like, what's happening here? Like, why is it so dry? Why it feels so like, why we having tension at this time where we should be having like we should be leaning in. Like, this should be like a joyous occasion to be together and be alone together. And it's like, dealing with somebody that you don't know. It was like, it was real, like, it was like that. And I'm talking about like a month ago, yo. I'm talking about like not long ago, a few episodes ago. That's how it was. And so, like I said, we just been having some hard conversation, because I realized that, like, when you are just doing life, when you are, you have these responsibilities, when you have this schedule, as far as going to work and being here and doing this on this day and this day, when you have, all these things that you are responsible for, business and creative, you know, being a part of this, and having friends and having family that you also tend to, and having children that you have to tend to, and having, just all these facets of life that you have to be on top of, that you have to handle, that you have to go through. You kind of settle into your days, right? And your days as a family can be just, it kind of like routine. And then if you're not on top of, if you're not paying attention, beyond the surface, beyond functioning, if you don't pay attention to what's going on in your spouse, what's going on in your relationship, it's very easy for things to slip. It's very easy for things to go over your head. And therefore, like I said, when we do have time alone, when we do come to be intimate together, it's nothing there to draw from. You know what I'm saying? Except for because you're not doing the daily work, you're not doing the daily take care of the kids, you're not doing the daily assignments, you're not going to church together. You have this free time, and it's like, what do you do? And in my reflections, it was so weird, because I realized, like, we had went, thank God, we made it through the pandemic, where the pandemic was hard on a lot of couples because of that, because life had stopped, people had to come together. And you realize this person that you have in your space is not really, what I'm saying, who you thought they were, or y'all are not connecting, not able to build the way you thought you were. You know what I'm saying? Once you stop and really look at the deeper things of each other. You know what I'm saying? Different things that people went through during the pandemic. And so there was a pandemic divorce. But in 2020 for us, our marriage, like, was at its what it got better. It got so much better. It was beautiful. The 2020 year for us was, though we were mourning with others, and crying with others, and sad for the world, and sad for others that went through it hard. Thank God, in our family, we actually, we survived the pandemic without any hard, any close losses. And in 2020 we didn't lose anybody. And so, and from what I remember, we didn't lose anybody close, and our parents made it through 2020, and our loved ones made it through 2020. And so, and I just remember us, coming together and bonding and having a good time together, and like being friendly. Like, it was like fun times, and we loved each other, and we enjoyed each other, and we never were like, oh, I can't stand to be around my family. Like, it was more like, I'm glad that we got this time to, like, we don't have obligations. So I remember 2020 being a good year. And then I remember the top of 21 being a good year. And we like went on our first big vacation to Vegas. And we, what I'm saying, that was like a big deal. That was my husband's first time getting on a flight and all of that stuff. So like we shared those moments, those first time. That was our first time going to Las Vegas. Like, it was like a special moment. But then when we came home, I remember in 2021 we lost my father-in-law. We lost my husband's dad, and that hit us hard. And that's when things started to like look very, those were the time when things started to look dim, as things started to look, blurry. Like, oh man, like, what's happening here? Are we gonna, it started to look, very, it was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? When that happened, that was like a huge blow to our family. And so that was a whole moment when that happened, when that tragedy struck us. That was like, that hit us as a marriage because, my husband went, you know, he went through, he was grieving real bad, and he almost like kind of checked out of life and was kind of like numb to life. And it affected our marriage because for, at first it was cool, I understood, but then it started getting lonely and it got real quiet. And that's when we was doing the roommate thing, and I was like, oh, he done checked all the way out. I don't know if I'm, what I'm saying, I don't have a, I'm I don't have a husband right now. What I'm saying, I don't have nobody to tend to. I don't have nobody, I don't have nobody to tend to me. You know what I'm saying? So that was very, my earring is driving me nuts. But yeah, that was one of the things that was like a blow, but we overcame it. My husband started therapy. We had a lot of talks and a lot of discussions where we were able to discuss like, yo, let's do some, let's get some therapy for you, so that way you can begin to heal, you can begin to deal with the loss of your father, because I know that's a huge blow to our lives. And I don't, I want you to be able to you know get healed, be able to grieve correctly and get what you need, you know what I'm saying? And so that was important, that he started therapy. And so as he started therapy, we started healing, we started getting better, we started coming together again. And I was realizing that, okay, I need therapy too, I need to get myself together too. And so 2022 was a decent year, but it was interesting. Like, it was these highs, and then it was these low lows that made me feel like, oh, we're not about to do this. And so approaching the anniversary, I started to have like just these reflective thoughts, and definitely thinking about the future. And I know that sometimes when you start overthinking about the future, that can bring anxiety, and that can bring tension and like fear, and all of that to your processing. And what I realized is like, it just, I was like, we need to do an evaluation. You know what I'm saying? The Lord said at the top of this year that he was changing my appetite. That's what I heard him say specifically to me, that he was changing my appetite. And I began to wonder, was my palate changing? And therefore, I was not in the right marriage, or I wasn't, I had settled into this marriage that maybe was not for me, not what the Lord wanted for me. And that question was, it was just starting to. And when we went to Atlanta, and we was like, I'm like, what the heck? Like, we didn't been through all this life together. We didn't, what I'm saying? We're supposed to be like, we have a level. I thought we came over, we had a level of understanding about, what I'm saying, us being together, us staying together. So why in Atlanta did it feel like, I'm down there and I'm having the time of my life, but why it seemed like this part of my life is off and broken and not right? And what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? And I begin to like, I just started reflecting and asking some real questions. Yo, like, what we doing? Like, what are we doing? Because I don't want to, I'm grateful for how far we came, but I am very aware that this ain't gonna last too much longer this way. And that's the thing about marriage that I wish somebody would have like explained to me. Um, because when I got married, you know how you have these, so I had an idea of who my husband was going to become, is, has become. I had an idea of who his true self. I sensed that when we first got married, I sensed who he was supposed to be without all of the issues of life, and without all of the trauma, and without all of the thuggery and the bull crap, what I'm saying, that he was living. I sensed the inner person of him. Like, I was like, this dude is a leader. This dude is different. This dude is strong. This dude is super wise. Like, he's beyond his years. He got sense in ways that I wouldn't think. He said stuff that I don't expect to come out of his mouth. Like, I was sensing a version of him that he was not portraying to others. And I got to experience the sides of him that he was not ready to share with the world for the sake of saving face, for the sake of having his reputation, for the sake of whatever, you know what I'm saying, that he was the sake of survival, that he had this persona on, and he was living in a way that was not the essence of who he was internally. And so that is why one of the reasons why I believe that we connected, and like, I was able to break through because I got to see that and experience that. I recognized it immediately, and I was able to, I was able to tap into that side of him. And that was, almost, even I questioned that, like, approaching our 10 years, I questioned that, like, did I, you know what I'm saying? Like, was I supposed to, be as close as I was to this person? Or was he just a momentary, you know what I'm saying? Was it just a moment in time, or what? Like, all these questions just started coming up as we were approaching our 10-year anniversary. So the past month or so, we have been having some very, very hard conversations. And I have just been asking the questions like, one, what are we doing? Like, because like our story of like overcoming all of this hardship, overcoming like this type of love, this street love. Like, remember, I believe I told about our story before, but we came from, like, we was hood love. Like, I stuck with this man. Like, I met this man. He didn't have a job. He didn't have nothing. He was thugging on the streets. Like, he was really, like, you know what I'm saying, just living a street life. He didn't have all of that. He didn't have those goals. He didn't have a plan. He was just like surviving day by day and living his life. And he was smoking and drinking. And me, I was just somebody that was just dipping in, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to build a life, but I was also in the clubs and just trying to like party it up around, just messing around this city, the city where I live. And so we ran across each other like that. But and then we went through, he was on the run, and then he went to prison. And though I wasn't faithful through his prison run, we did, we stayed connected, we were together. um I mean, I still could, I still couldn't, I still stay faithful, to our relate. Like, we were still together, kind of, we were still connected, but we weren't, he wasn't home. So I was living life. And so, yeah, so during that time, you know, um, but we stuck it out. And when he came home, we got back together. And then when he came home, we got pregnant, and I had my son. And then he went to prison again, because he violated due to getting a ticket while he was driving. He got a ticket, and because he already was like, had time over his head or something. I can't remember the name, the what it's called or whatever, because he violated a parole, because he was still on parole when he got pulled over, just for a regular violation. And when you're on parole, the police can't deal with you at all. Like, anything is a violation. Like, if they stop and ask for your ID, that's a violation to the parole. So he got pulled over for like busting a U-turn or something at the wrong spot or something like that. And then and then he was also a couple of a couple of points over the limit, over the drinking limit. So he went to prison again, and for like a half a year. And after that time, I completely disconnected. I was done. You know what I'm saying? At that point, I was done. I had my son too, and that was like no. Like, I was, that was one of the things that I did not want, which is to, have a broken home and all of that. I did not want that. So once he did that, I thought that was so irresponsible that I just disconnected during that stint. And I didn't deal with him during that stint. I was cool with his mama and his family, but I didn't deal with him directly because I just thought that was, that was a little reckless. So yeah, so we went through that. Then when he came home, we got back together again. We eventually, moved, got into an apartment and all that stuff, and we went through all these ups and downs, like where I was working and he wasn't. It was hard for him to get a job, and then finally he started getting on a. It like started picking up where he started working and started getting jobs and started getting odd jobs, and then he started getting decent jobs, and then he got then he got jobs that was paying more. So now he's contributing well to the household, we built up like over the years, got different moved where we needed to, and we got different got different apartments, we got cars, like it's like we progress, like you can see the progression. And so just reflecting over our 10 years, I'm grateful for the progression, because we literally went from that hood love, that that ghetto love, that I'm saying, that street love, to like really trying to be law abiding citizens. What I'm saying? Like I went from supporting and just riding with my dude that deal drugs or whatever, to like, okay, now we gonna walk this life out with Christ. Now we really gonna be a part of church, and we really gonna we're really going to be we're going to be ministers, and we're going to help the marriage ministry and stuff like that. And so I'm like, so in my reflection, I had to realize, like, you don't get so far off that you forget like the beauty and and forget to have gratitude for the progression. And that I am grateful. Like I thank God, like, for the progression in our lives, in our marriage, like where we came from, where we couldn't. I remember the days we couldn't afford, $600 rent. I remember that being a strain for us. And now it's like, Lord, $600 would be great if we were still. I wish, like, boy, inflation ain't no joke, but like to be at a place where financially we are not, we're not in that space where it was like every dollar, it was like dire. It was like we have, no emergency funds or nothing, like to be now in a space where we're doing and living much better, and we're still progressing, right? But the people that we are also different. And that's the scary thing. And that's what they don't tell you about marriage. That the beauty of this little, this dude that was what, 25 or something, 20, somebody do the math for me, 25, and I was what, 18, and I was able to eat McDonald's every single day of my life and not gain a pound. What I'm saying? I was able to drink, and I was driving all over just driving everywhere and like just rolling. And I just was so different than the 34-year-old that I am today. And I'm like, I look at myself now as 34 years old, and I'm like an old soul. Like I literally am like, I have completely, like, I'm just a changed woman, and I'm really, what I'm saying, I'm really walking into my womanhood. And so the person that I was at 18-year-old is not to be, I can barely stand it. What I'm saying? And so so it triggers me to be like, any type of just anything that feels like trying to resurrect that 18-year-old. It irritates my soul. It's annoying. What I'm saying? And that's the thing about marriage, because sometimes sometimes you you want a version of your spouse that is no longer here, like the part of your spouse that may have attracted you or kept you at one point is not who they are years later. And so when you look at the person that they are 10 years later, you have to make a decision again. Is this like, am I able to handle this person, this version of the person that I love, the person that I married, the person that I committed my life to? Can I handle who they are becoming? And are they becoming a new version of themselves for the better, or are they becoming worse? You know what I mean? And for me, like, while we were progressing and coming better, I feel like we were stagnant. Like, are we getting stagnant? Are we getting comfortable? Is this it? Like, you know what I'm saying? As a woman, there are things that I require. And I'm not going to apologize for needing more. I'm not going to apologize for wanting more out of life. And I feel like, a lot of times when you come from, a certain background, or you just, when you are grateful to just be alive, to somebody that always planned to be alive, that's not enough. You know what I'm saying? So we were clashing. My husband is very low maintenance. My husband is very like, he's just grateful to, be above ground. He's grateful to not be he's grateful to not be behind bars. He's grateful for, being able to buy a steak whenever he wanted. Like, he's grateful for being in the house with his sons, like, to be under the same roof with his sons. He's grateful, like, the small things satisfy him. And what, the clashing is that, for a girl that don't come from that background, that's like, all of that I just named is is the minimum. And I'm grateful for, but it's the minimum of what I believe that life has for me to experience. And so we were clashing, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, more, please. Like, what it like more? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And one of the things I had posted on Facebook, I was saying, like, it used to be so lovely to, like, go to McDonald's every day and give me a cheeseburger, a fry, and a caramel sundae. Like, that was me and my husband's little thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or he'll just have that for me almost every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that was like special. Today, I don't even like McDonald's like that. I don't even eat. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't even be checking for a McDonald's meal. Like, almost ever, except for like a fry when I'm, maybe if I'll get some fries when I'm out and about. Like, I haven't had one of their Sundays in years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even eat McDonald's like that no more. You know what I'm saying? I barely take my children to McDonald's. And so that don't even satisfy me no more. That's like nothing. And that version of me that was so satisfied, so pleased with that, is completely dead. It's gone. And so we were clashing. We were clashing because I think he was coming to the realization that that girl, it really is dead. And I can't even, you know what I'm saying? Every little piece of her that I tried to hold on to is gone. And this woman wants to, you know what I'm saying? She's talking about going to Turks and Caicos. You know what I'm saying? I don't even got Turks and Caicos money yet. But you know what I'm saying? I'll be having talks about where I'm trying to go. I'm looking like what we got to do to get there, what we got to do to get to take Turks and Caicos money. Like, I want to see more of this world, more of life. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that is, you know what I'm saying? I really want to do that with, you know what I'm saying? I really want our marriage to experience things beyond, our walls in our household. I want us to be able to say that life, we learned so much of life outside of, our city, our state. Like, I want to be able to experience more cultures and more, I just want to experience life and do different things and try new adventures. And I want to do it with my spouse, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just like we was reflecting on what that means. And then just with the daily things, sometimes you get comfortable, sometimes you kind of let stuff go over time, and then you realize you let it go, and then it piles up, and to the point where it's like, why is this pile just sitting here in our lives? Like, let's do something about this pile so that we don't have this, this block in our lives. Like, let's do something with this pile. And that's where the tension was. It's these different types of piles that was built up in our lives, and everybody just kept walking past the pile. And I'm like, man, we walking up on 10 years and we still got a pile sitting here that nobody wants to touch. Like, what we gonna do? And I'm saying that metaphorically, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying that kind of metaphorically, like these pals that's just all around our house in our lives. And it's like, when we gonna actually sweep this pile up and get it out of our life, like for real? So yeah, so we had to have some hard conversations, yo, and it got really rough, like to the point where we were like looking at separation ourselves. Like we were really looking at um I was serious about not doing another 10 the same. Like what we did before, we that was great, that was excellent, that was wonderful. But I believe for me and my husband that God is calling us to a higher standard of living, and that not talking about finances and the outside. I'm talking about the inner persons, the inner parts of who we are. And I believe that what as God is like trying to prepare us and set us up, that we have to be surrendered to the process, and we have to be disciplined in the process and make sure that we are actually becoming who God is working in us to be, and that we follow his voice and follow his leading and live a life of obedience, not just independently but as a marriage. And that means in how we honor each other, how we take care of each other, how we take care of our children, how we contribute to the household. And so I'm challenged to like really be, and the serious thing about it is there was a motive in me, and I must admit there was a motive in me to like, because we have been the couple that have overcame these things and like actually witness the hand of God, like witness the move of God in our lives. Like we've seen God do things for us, like literally like pay our rent. We've seen God like open up doors for us. We've seen God like speak to us, and like, you know, we're seeing God do like some really great things in our marriage. But one of the things I admit is one of the motivations, like just going through all of that stuff, I'm like, you know, I wanted to be like, you know how we talk about goals or or power couple and all of that. And I really wanted to do that. Like I really wanted to be like a power couple, and I wanted to tell our story. I wanted to write I want us to write books about. And I do feel like that's a part of our, that's just a part of what God is like leading us to do eventually. But it was like one of the motivations was like we, just wanting to be that it couple, that example that God has placed amongst our people, so that we can be an example. Like, yeah, your marriage can be really bad, but with God everything can be turned around, everything can change. And the motivation though for both of us, I believe, started to be that example. And what I realized is like after our conversations and like really like just praying and crying out and asking God, like I'm realizing that I don't, and like, and also being like always being the example of like how we overcome. I realized though, approaching my 10 years, that I'm off that. I could care less. Like I'm off trying to prove who we are and what our marriage means. Like I'm off that. I am off that. And one of the things, like I was, it was like hard to make a decision about, separation is because it was like, man, if we do this, we gonna let and I mean, we've had multiple conversations over the years about separating or divorcing. Like we had these conversations over the years, like it's been multiple conversations, to be honest. And one of the motivators to keep us together is like we would disappoint so many people. It would be like a disappointment to our community, and it would be heartbreaking, not only to us but to everyone that knows us. And it would absolutely change the dynamics for all of our lives, you know what I mean? And that was one of the motivations that kept us together. But as I approached this 10 years, and as we started having some real conversations, when I say I began to let that go, I really had to let that go. I let that go. And I don't feel no more like the responsibility of like trying to hold up an image is off. Like that's done. So who we were, you know what I'm saying? I let me try to explain it better. So I really want, like, it was almost like wanting to, just wanting the approval and the validation that our marriage is supposed to be. You know what I mean? But it was like from people. And I wanted that validation from our community, and I enjoyed that validation from our community that we were supposed to be together, and we were a great couple. Like, I enjoyed that validation. But as we begin to have conversations about our lives and have conversation about where we were going, I realized that I could care less about that validation, because at the end of the day, like, like, my goal is not to like be propped up as this wonderful couple that God uses and God moves in their lives, and God, like, I don't want to be that no more. Like, that's not my motivation no more. Like, I'm off that. I'm so off that. Like, I could care less about that. I want to live inside out. Like, I want the inner me to drive everything that's on the outside of me. Like, I don't want to no longer, like, I don't want to portray an image. I don't want to like be somebody's goals. I don't want to like, that's like, I don't want to do that no more. And I realized, like, lifting that pressure off has set us free, set me free for sure. Because I really, it's important to me, it's important to me, how people perceive. But I want to please God more than anything. I want my marriage to please God. And if that doesn't look like the books that, the if it doesn't have that picture perfect book scene, and if it's not, if you know the pictures and the trips and all of that, and writing books together and all that, if we don't have that, but we have a good marriage where we're actually in love, where we have a good marriage where our sex is actually excellent, where we have a good marriage where our kids are actually being blessed because we're together and not traumatized because we're together, if we have a marriage that can actually pour into people, not because we're some grand people that like just know it all, but because we've actually sat in the presence of God, we've heard from God, we've learned from God, we've actually moved with God, we move by this. Like, I want the real deal. And I say, I have approaching this 10 years have made me realize, like, yes, I'm not saying that we've been faking the phone, but it's easy to fall into the trap and to like make your motivation be something that is not, you know what I'm saying? Like, to strive to be something, but not really be that at the core, not really have God on your core as your focus. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like add God on top. And like, even with marriage ministry, like, I have I decided early this year that I was like, well, I knew last year, I was like, I believe our marriage needs more pouring into than it needs than we have to pour out. I believe we need to sit under some more teaching as a marriage before we give, we start giving so much um advice as marriage. I realized that we needed to live some more life as a married couple before we start. For the people that are coming into our ministry, we haven't lived that much life and like experienced that much to be able to be a solace for them to come to, like, and really give themselves. And I know, what I'm saying, I'm not saying everything got to be perfect, but I really, I'm saying, I'm just like, I'm sensing that this shouldn't be like, marriage ministry shouldn't be this hard. And the reason that it's hard is because we're not tending to our own marriage. And the marriage, your own marriage is your first ministry. So when you don't tend to that, everything else is bleak and gets dark and gets like rough when you are not attending to your own marriage. And I've realized like, and so the beginning of this year, I told my pastors like, listen, after this year, I can't do no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't lead this ministry if it's not real. You know what I'm saying? If it's not that it's not real, but if we are not who we are as as marriage ministers, if our marriage is not not fed, is not being worked on, that I can't help others work on theirs. You know what I'm saying? Like, so so we sat back and we kind of like, I just been like, you know what I'm saying? And so we have switched where we are just going to assist our pastors and glean up under them, but we're going to allow them to lead that ministry so that there can be a fullness, a robust ministry where the leaders are not like holding on by threads, but actually their marriages actually that the ministry is blessed by their marriage. And so I just realized like we needed work we had personal work to do. Also, as sometimes when you're married, you realize that, you know, you're just going and going and you're not tending to the very ones who are the ones that come out of our marriage, which is our children. And I realized like our children are at a really, you know, that all their stages are important, but our children, you know, we have to make sure that we are tending to our household. And so I was like, we gotta readjust because our boys are like growing and our boys are growing fast. And if we don't tend to them, we're gonna be crying when they are away from us, and we're gonna be stressed out when they are away from us because we're not pouring, you know, we're not doing what we need to do. We're ripping and running, and we have all these things going on. We're trying to go after business and going after ministry and going after this and going after that, and we're not tending to them. And I don't want a life where I don't tend to my children. Like, that's like irritating to me. That's like, I don't want to be a lazy mom. I don't want to be that. I want to be an attentive mom that's intentional about my children. And so that means laying down some of those dreams and waiting. You know what I'm saying? Waiting for my children to actually be of age. And that means laying down, trying to take on, you know, extra stuff when I have a ministry of two children that must be tended to. Otherwise, everybody else will suffer. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, so this 10 years of marriage, it just made me realize like the person that you married on day one is not the person that you'll have 10 years later. It should be a different person. And you have to be ready for that. You have to be attentive to that person to know and to ask questions and to really get on the inside of their minds and their hearts to know who are they becoming and what are they are thinking and why they are thinking what they're thinking and all of that. And it's so important that we just continue to have these checkup conversations. And so finally, we had a wonderful, you know, we had a wonderful anniversary. Again, Atlanta was a part of the anniversary celebration, a trip, even though it didn't go well. It was a part of our anniversary celebration. Then we went to a conference, and we went to this conference in South Carolina with our church, and we use some of that time to like celebrate and love each other. And that also went wrong, that also went bad at one point. And so this weekend we actually had a good time and it went well, and we did a couples massage, which is why y'all never told me about self massages. Like, I underestimated how like self-care, get a massage. Like, what? That massage was excellent. It was everything that I needed. I felt so much looser afterwards, and I realized like, yo, like the environment, the place I went to, their environment, and like just the work that she did in massaging me, I was like, yeah, I think I need to treat myself to one of these more often. I need to be doing this at least at the minimum twice a year. But at the maximum at least once a month, and in between maybe every other month. But like, I need to treat myself to a massage because that was popping. So yeah, we did a couples massage, which was really romantic, really nice, and we had a good time. And then we went out to dinner, and that was nice. Like, we had a very nice weekend, and we had a we had some real discussions. We prayed together, we cried together, we like we talked it out. Like, we had, we got some things off our chest, and we got a game plan. So one of the things, and if you're watching on you, I mean, if you're listening to the audio, sorry you can't see this, but if you're on YouTube, you'll see it. But one of the things that we did is we had to we had to come up with a new set of vows, a new set of terms, covenant terms for the next 10 years. And I felt that one morning when I woke up, the Lord had kind of led me to do this. And because it was looking very bleak, like we was on our way. Some of the conversations that we was having, we was on our way to separation for real. Like, I was really like, I was starting to picture myself alone. I was starting to like be like, it might be better if I just start building my life alone. You know what I'm saying? Start building a life where I am with, I'm saying, I'm by myself, because that's probably going to be, I can see that looking better than I do just staying married and doing the same thing year after year after year. Like, I'd rather be single. I'd rather disappoint the whole entire community, my kids, everybody. I'll disappoint everybody, and just, what I'm saying, just because I know this would be the better route. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was having those conversations, like it was getting real. But one day I woke up after prayer and such. The Lord was saying that y'all have to come together and have a conversation about your, and I want you to write down your covenant terms. I want you to write it down. I want you to see it. I want y'all to really work on it together. And so we came up, it's about 3 pages of new commitments and new terms. Actually, it's 4 pages. We came up, well, it's just how I got it written out, but we came up with these new terms, these new these commitments that we are making to build the next 10 years of our life. I made it clear that neither one of us will survive if we continue to do the same things and like kind of just like, just float through life without intentionality, without discipline, without like really making sure that we are on top of the things that God is calling us to, the behaviors, the patterns, the routines, the plans that God, the visions, all of that God has given us, the assignments, the calls, the love, and pouring into each other and honoring each other, like all those things that God has called us to. If we don't be intentional about it, we are not serious about it, we are going to look up 10 years later and be having this same conversation. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And so we had to write out all of our terms. We wrote out just a bunch of different terms and commitments that we have. And this is, and we are realizing, like, and I wrote on here that this is not this covenant is this is not written as a terms of like a transaction, but this is the first step of intentionality for this stage of our marriage, that this is written as an action of faith, that because this marriage is ordained by God and has purpose attached to it, that we will treat this bond with care, with value, with respect, and we are going to demonstrate to God that we are serious about his will for our marriage. And so that's what we did. And so we went through that. We had a discussion about everything, and then we signed it. I signed it, he signed it, and we had our kids also sign it because they are a part of this marriage. And so, and we wanted them to know that we are serious about staying together. And so, yeah, so cheers to 10 years to me and my husband. This marriage has taught me that I deserve, that we deserve, we deserve to live a life that, you know, we couldn't imagine. Like, God wants that for us. And I don't know why God is so good to us. Yes, I do, because he's so good. He's good. That's why he's just a God who is overwhelmingly good, overwhelmingly wanting to bless us, wanting to love on us, wanting to, you know, do just wonderful things for us. He's that good of a father, and he loves to bless his children. And he's just that type of God. He's just that type of God. He's that type of king that's just all good. And he wants to like bless us, and he wants to love on us, and he wants to walk through us through the hard times. He wants to show himself strong and powerful and mighty in our lives and through our lives. Like he enjoys, you know, he enjoys communing with us as his children, as his son and daughter. And that was one of the things I told my husband, like, overall, like, even though we're married, I also see you as my brother in Christ. Like, you're my brother in Christ. And so I want you to have the best life that God has for you. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure you get there. And if that means that you don't have the best life with me, then I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I will, you know, we can back up and put it into this if that means that you're going to walk better and closer and more disciplined and more secured in God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want my marriage doesn't go above God. And that's something that I also needed to be reminded of and taught, that my marriage does not go above God. That that this marriage being together is not the I don't believe that my marriage is the totality of my faith in God and my love for God. You know what I'm saying? And my commitment to his will. Like, my marriage is an extension of that, but it's not the totality of that. And so if my marriage doesn't work, that doesn't mean that God is, you know what I'm saying, that I am bad in God. Like, I don't trust God and all of that. Like, I used to feel that way. Like, but I don't feel that way no more. I feel like I'm willing to do whatever it takes for God to get glory from my life. And if my marriage does not give glory to God, then I'm willing to say goodbye to the marriage, because I don't want to be in a marriage that's miserable just to be there, just to be loyal. I want to be in things that glorify the Lord. I want to do things that's excellent in glorifying the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And if my marriage is not excellent to glorify the Lord, then I have some questions to ask. I have some things to reevaluate. There's some things we have to do, and we have to shift and move. There's some questions that I have to ask God. And that's what we did, yo. And so cheers to 10 years. I'm excited for the next 10 years. And I hope this is a turning point, and that, you know, next year will look completely different and will be completely different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to continue to see the progression of God. And I want to eventually, I want to leave this world like knowing, I want evidence all through my life that the Lord's will was done as best as it could be done, and my marriage was a part of that. So yeah, y'all. Yeah, I know that was a lot. I know it was a lot, but I hope this episode blesses people, and, like, you know, just make you think, make you talk to your spouse, make you, you know, go to your spouse and have, you know, the hard conversations, and just keep us in prayer, yo. Keep us in prayer as we continue forward, and we will keep you in prayer as well. So y'all, I love y'all so much. This was an hour-long conversation, but I now have to go. So y'all have a blessed and wonderful time. I will see y'all on the next episode. I love you so much, and praise God for you. Again, if you have any questions, any thoughts, just email me at support@pinkiesgembox.com. And I thank you so much for tuning in on this time. Y'all take care and have a blessed rest of your week. All right, bye.